full core. I have a quorum of 4 people, so let's kick this off. Thank you. Today is September 7th. I would just like to call to order the Town of Cohasset Sidewalk Safety and Connectivity meeting. It is a little after 11:30. Present are Julie Rollins, Tori Hanna, Paul Grady, and Jay Pimpari, and myself. We have a few missing, but we do have a quorum, and I believe Frank is going to be joining us very shortly as well. We'll get to the 48-hour issue stuff in a minute here. Just some quick logistics. The approval of the August 22nd minutes have been circulated. Anybody have any comments to the August 26 minutes?
No.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the August 22nd minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? That vote passes unanimously. All right, so just want to circle back here. Thanks everybody for calling in. As I was brief, I think I know you all personally. It's been a very rough month for me and the family with my son being in the hospital. And Carol, if you could promote Frank, that would be great. So would have liked to be more involved and on top of some of these things with sending out emails and updates and other things here as we are under the gun to provide a plan to the select board, which I'll get to in a little bit. So I appreciate anyone's help moving forward and providing input. And I'm going to share some information in a little bit about the draft plan that I started to work on. And so, and Brian, unfortunately, is not here to join us today to provide a quick little update on where we stand at the DPW. But what's today? Thursday? Losing track of the days. There was an agenda item on the, and Paul, feel free to fill in here anything I missed out.
No, go ahead.
About that, the select board had a call on Tuesday night, and they basically the chair and the board is looking for a kind of a 5-year plan from the sidewalk committee, not specifically an exact breakdown of which roads need to be paved and whatnot, but more importantly, a plan that says that right now we get about $1 million allocated into the roadway funding, or the town does. And the select board is going out with the fall meeting, which is in October, right? Fall in October, which is right around the corner here, with an ask similar to like the field study and school study, etc., and stabilization and putting more money into those funds of an additional $800,000. So the roadway budget for paving and or sidewalks, new, replacing existing, whatever the case may be, hopefully in the future will go from $1 million to $1.8 million annually. And so obviously with an extra $800,000 per year in that funding, more roads can be done, etc. As you can see from what we have done in the town has done in 2023, $1 million doesn't get you too far when you talk about roadways. And I'll forget some of these, but what was done in 2023 or this year, soon to be done, is basically the entire Elm Street all the way past the yacht club over to Howard Gleason and the existing sidewalks. That probably it's taken about 70% of the, or 80% of a chunk of the allocation or of the budget funding. And then there's some other side streets in between. So, when right now we're looking at, it seems to, in my view, with running the numbers, like you get one big project, then you get 4 or 5 other little side roads. So again, not looking for, with a plan to the select board of an exact road breakdown, just justification that we could definitely spend, or the town could spend $1.8 million. And honestly, they could probably spend a lot more if money were there to repair existing roadways and or put in new sidewalks, repair sidewalks, etc., etc. So that is the really big ask right now. And I put together a quick little 2-pager, which let me share my screen. I don't know who's sharing. I'll step. Thanks, Julie. and I'm waiting for Brian on some numbers, so I haven't sent this out to you, but I may just send this out for some input. And I don't know if you can see my screen yet. Can you see my screen?
Now we can.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
again, this is not crazy in depth. This is just like a really like a 2-pager, and I'm going to share this with you after this meeting. And so I wanted to just give a not crazy in depth, just kind of where we were, what we've looked at, etc., our criteria that we have developed for the paving, and then basically scrolling down. And these are the funding sources. Again, a quick and easy dirty sheet to the select board so that they can see what they're dealing with when they run the numbers, where the town looks like it's been allocated about $1.1 million. And then I'm still waiting on some cost breakdown, which I have. I just haven't had the time. Well, I have through various emails, and I can go back and spend that time. Hopeful Brian was going to provide that a little faster, but I'll have to go dig those up for these roadways just to see what was actually spent in 2023. And these are the roads that were done: Smith Place, Cushing, Atlantic, Margin, all of Elm Street, the new sidewalks, etc. And then we had Church done, remember, the Situate line down at Beechwood, North Main Street, if you've ever been down there from Forest Ave over to the Hingham Town line. Slated projects for 2024. Again, this is quick and easy. This is a very, very rough draft. Beechwood, King Street to 3A. That was a water company-ish funded program. As you know, if you live in the area and see that, that will be done in sometime early 2024. And then Pond Street 3A to 100 Pond Street, etc. And then and then I have to put in here some the grants that we have applied for, or details, and anything else that you feel we should put in there. And so just to jump to the big part of this, the 5-year prioritization, that is the attachment that we can provide as well, which we'll get into. And we basically say we've all been allocated a portion of town. It's a work in progress, blah, blah, blah. It's safe to say that $1 million is not enough. And then we talk about paving, et cetera, cost and costs. And so let me jump back here. That leads us to the, where are we? And I'm going to stop here and take a breath. And that leads me to the spreadsheet. But any comments to any of that? And again, I'm going to share that 2-pager, and if it's 3 or 4 pages, that's fine too, for some input on how we can kind of. I don't think we need to sell this to the select board. They've already bought into it. It's more of justification on why they're going to ask the town's taxpayers for an additional $800,000 to address roadways, etc. So I'll stop there. And Paul, if you want to jump in at all for anything, please.
I have
please.
just one thing on what you put up, Jay, which I think is great. Thank you. Is the 1 mile, you have 1 mile of pavement costs and then 1 mile of pavement costs. I think we might just want to add in sidewalk there too on your synopsis.
Oh, yeah. I meant to say sidewalk there. Apologize. Right.
Okay. So in discussion with the select board, this stuff I can tell you, coming into town meeting, you're going to be hearing about this very soon. So it's going to be a good ask. And what we're doing is hopefully addressing a number of key points. And this I will share is town hall, police and fire, roads and sidewalks, all our key in schools, all our key infrastructural points. And so it's something that hasn't happened. I don't really think, and I've looked back in our town's history, and I say that kind of tongue in cheek, but we're looking at addressing all key. I mean, roads and sidewalks, for instance, has never been fully funded. We know that. And what the board's looking for is for us as a committee just to justify. I mean, when we all got the charge for this, this committee's not for long duration. We can always recharge at another time. It's coming up what we see as the 5 to 10-year plan. We have some of the hard information from Brian where his scheduling is. It's up to us, as we all know, is to prioritize that. Where do we see adding sidewalks in, which really weren't part of the program? I'm confident all this is going to pass at town meeting. I feel good about it, but I also feel that It's not a hard presentation. And really, as a board member, my thoughts, and a committee member, I kind of go by the old adage: keep it simple, stupid. Um, you know, we don't have to go into terrible details. Just what our plan is, what we propose, and present it. And we get the financial figures from Brian just to justify why we're asking for the money. That's why, and why we're asking it of the town, including, which means all of us as well. So we're not asking anything of anybody that we're not going to be putting in ourselves. So that's the important thing to get across.
Yeah, no, thanks, Paul. And again, let's talk about the spreadsheet in a minute, but we're not looking at finalizing or prioritizing anything to say this road needs to be done next year, that this road needs to be done the year after. It's really just getting a 5-year plan to justify, to say that these are roadways that need to be addressed in town
Yeah.
in the next 5 years. And so looking at that, the plan, which I'll send out shortly, it's please add in anything that you feel would further justify this ask of an additional $800,000 per year.
Jay, I just dropped in from the people that had in that spreadsheet, the people that had put in their recommendations. I pulled all of those into the committee recommendations so that we can just look at that one tab and either pull things up or whatever. But there were two areas, Harbor to Beach and Central, that there was no recommendations. So I just wanted to
Okay. Yeah. So can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. No, and you awesome job with this, Tori. Thank you so much. So let me just jump back.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this was the kind of, everyone was throwing stuff into the, so that many different tabs here, as you can see. The first, beginning the 3 through 16, were from an individual who's unfortunately no longer on this committee. But I'm not saying I want to throw this out by any means. I would say to the committee members, since we each have our quadrants here, to review items 3 through 16 to see if any of your streets fall within there. And if they are on there, then great, we can delete them. And if they're not on there, maybe further consider that. And I see what's also nice is the length of road that has been pushed in there. So this is a great little the draft sidewalk plan there. And I'll jump back to you, Tori, to explain this a little bit more. But the assignments, as everybody knows, where we are, and then committee recommendations, etc. And then go ahead. Sorry, yeah.
Below there where it says Pond Street, that's where I pulled things in. Anyone that put a recommended sidewalk, I just cut and pasted it into there so that
Okay.
we have all of the other tabs onto one tab, and then we can drag them up into the actual recommendation.
Yeah. Can you throw those up to, like, starting at number 3, just to cut and paste from 23 up to 25 there, and just throw them up to like number 3?
Yeah.
So that, like, if you click on it, it doesn't look like it's blank for the first. There we go.
Hey, Jay.
Yes.
I did notice the yellow, and I think this might have been a former board member, but I saw Pleasant Street in the yellow part. I've addressed what Pleasant is. Again, Tori, thank you so much, and I apologize for most of my stuff being done on the fly and emailing it in. I'm very sorry. I couldn't get on the Excel.
Yeah.
So
thank you. So this will continue to be a little bit of a.
She did the lion's share's work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, so Julie is the one that built out the whole thing, that built out the template. So team effort there.
All right. Go team. Continue to go team. So this, again, this will be something that the committee will work with Brian and the DPW in order to prioritize, to make sure that our voices are heard as we move forward. And again, I see this committee taking kind of a little bit of a giant breather in about a month or so from here. But for the next month, really just need to kind of firm some things up and with these plans and spreadsheets, etc. So we'll continue to work on that. And others, if you haven't already, and some of these are blank, this is a great example on kind of how it should look. I don't know that. I think I may have said this before, and I'll just throw this out to the rest of the group. If you want to throw every single road that's in your quadrant up there, that's fine, by all means. I think that for simplicity and making it easy for the reviewer, that perhaps maybe if a road just got paved like last year or 2 years ago and it's in great shape and doesn't need to be addressed whatsoever, I don't know. My thought is that may not need to go on the spreadsheet so that it doesn't muddy it up. So, and kind of concentrate on the roadways and the sidewalks, column D and E, and just really have the yes roadways in there. And then over time, if this committee's still around in a year or two, then to address it that way. That's just kind of my thought. I don't know how others feel about that.
That sounds good to me, Jay.
Okay.
I'm
So
fine with that as well.
yeah, like Bob went very in depth here with basically going through every single roadway, which is fantastic. One thing this is pointed out, and we've brought it up a few times. So the Sharrow thing. This is just a reminder to all. That's it's like lining. It's like when you paint a picture of like a handicap sign on something, but this would be maybe like somebody walking and or somebody on a bike, and they're just the yellow things. They're like maybe 4 feet by 4 feet wide, and they spray painted, and they do that like I don't know every 200 feet, 50, whatever the distance is along the roadway. And I think that that's very important on some of our roads where, let's be honest, we probably, and I'm not using any of these examples, but, some roadways where it's going to be years, if at all, where there's potentially going to be a sidewalk. But at the very least, that, these sharrows certainly should be put in place. So feel free to make those recommendations as well. And it's a far less cost than obviously doing full construction. But I think there are many areas in town and on certain roadways where we definitely need these sharrows. So
Hey,
good.
sorry, Jay, can I ask a quick question? Tori, how would you feel about these sharrows being on King Street until we can get either I think I'm now leaning towards like a multi-purpose path or a bike lane or something like that on King Street in the short term. But what about these sharrows on King Street? Do you like that idea?
I think anything at this point, like, and I think that's the you guys make great points, is like if we can't get a sidewalk, then what do we do until we can get the sidewalk, right?
Exactly, exactly. How do we slow people down? How do we mark up the road so that people are aware of other things? They're noticing other things, like these markings on the road. Jay, I love that idea because it just gives them one other visual reminder that they are sharing the road with other people. And I think that's what
Right.
a lot of people in the community feel like, not just on King Street, but other streets, is that cars aren't aware of other people using the roads. And I'm talking about little kids on bikes. I'm talking about people walking. I'm talking about older people on bikes or whatever it happens to be. So I really like the idea of these sharrows, especially where people drive very quickly, like King Street, which is still unfortunately 30 miles an hour with no sidewalk. So that would be my recommendation on King, if Tori agrees with that, and all of you.
Yeah.
Um,
100%. I fully agree.
Yeah, same. I think the more the better with those sharrows and lieu of sidewalks.
And
I
I
would
think
agree with that.
that
No, I would agree
that's
with that, Jay. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, these are obviously they're far less intrusive and cost-wise extremely much more reasonable than the full sidewalks. And again, that in my view, this is where I see that if Brian says, "Hey, after we've done all the roadways, we've got X amount of money left over. Let's say I'll throw a number out there, $50,000." you know, we can push it over to next year, or we can do a little small project in October or so. And the committee says, you know, let's put these showers in on X road, or we just starting in 2024, just make that a priority to the town and the DPW and say the committee is strongly recommending this, and make that to the select board, and the select board will make it happen. So I think we're all in agreement on that one.
Okay, great.
Actually, the two in Cohasset that come immediately to my mind that would benefit our King. I don't know what we're going to get by neighbors about putting sidewalks in. I really don't. Some yes, some no. I don't have a handle on that. But King Street and Beach Street, I think those two main roads would benefit greatly from some lines and some of those sharrows.
Yeah.
Because
Paul,
people
yes,
walk them
Paul.
all the time.
Yes, Beach Street. I agree, 100%. Good call.
And
yeah,
if you
those
want
are
to
the
see
two
what
that
they
come-
look like, yeah, just go down to the Cunningham Bridge. The little bridge there between Sandy Beach and the yacht club, and you'll see them. There's 2 or 3 of them along that little stretch. I think that's about the only part of town that has that I've ever seen in town. So, so Paul, I'm putting your little area up next. I only had I tried to focus on it, so that was my little area. I just put the
And
recommended
again, I'm sorry
sidewalk
about
in there.
that I couldn't access the Excel. I was having problems. I did a lot of that just was
Yeah.
basically,
We can
I didn't mean to
again,
put it on other people.
as long as we get it up there, I think it's fine. What the issue is going to be with, so I need to get to Brian is the cost. So like, you know, this, I'll use this as an example. This was my area. This is a 200-foot stretch. If Brian says to do this, and there's different types of curbing, right? There's just kind of like a little grass strip, and then there's the curb, then there's the full curbing, and then the sidewalk, and then there's just a roadway with just a little bit of what we call, I guess it's called the Cape Cod berm, where you have a little bit of asphalt that goes over, and then you have the sidewalk, and there are different levels of cost associated with that. So if it's $1, $2, $3 for each one of those, if we can get a length, then we can put the cost in there for those. So yeah, Paul, we'll have to work on inputting that area, and then I guess Frank as well on that end. But this is really a great start to all of this. And one other thing I wanted to point out, which was I need to find it now. Where the hell did I put it? I thought I had it here. Oh, remember going back to the DPW plan of what roadways are draft slated to be in place for the upcoming years. This is where we are for 2024. You know, green is what is already been done or will be done in the next month or two. Yellow, and I guess Elm Street is now should be green, but Beechwood is a yellow slated for 2024 only because of you need time to let that settle. So this is really where what the 2024 plan looks like. So the Pond Street extension, and I know that's confusing to some, but we'll iron that out. South Main Street is really up in the air because of the potential water sewer expansion and some other things, and we'll let that play out. And it looks like James Spring and some work around Doan Street are slated, but I think that there certainly would be leftover money even if that were done, because I don't know where that comes in. That comes in at 1.5, but as you may remember, we've been saying these are estimates, and the quotes that have been coming back are about 60% of the estimate. So if 2023 is an example, that roadway may only be about 800,000. I'm just doing some very, very rough numbers. It appears to me like there would be some leftover money. So, you know, we could just start to pick away at 2025 and or other projects that were not identified by the DPW that the committee feels, based on our spreadsheet here, going back to committee recommendations on how that money could be better spent.
Yes,
And
I'd like to add
So, Jay-
something to that, Jay. Yes, so Somehow Pond Street has been taken off of that list. It's no longer highlighted. And that is a recommendation of ours. Pond Street from King to 3A be paved. And then I
Okay.
would go further to say Sharrows on there, because this is the route
Yep.
that kids are using to get to school from our half of
Yeah.
town.
Oh, is
And
it Pond
Julie,
Street,
just, but
3A to King
I
Street?
recommended a,
oh yeah, oh, there it is. It's up there.
Yeah.
I couldn't see it. So that,
I recommended a sidewalk on that, Julie. I
Thank
put
you.
that, that's, again, that's, so I recommended
you.
a sidewalk that's a high traffic area from King to Pond with a dedicated crosswalk at the light.
Awesome.
And then connectivity, repairing or replacing the sidewalks going up to the school.
Thank you
So
so
I was
much.
just
That's
looking at this.
awesome.
No,
That's-
but Jay, I was looking at this, like I'm looking James Lane. It doesn't, I don't, it may be a rotating schedule, but it doesn't need it that badly. I walk the dogs there every day. That's why I didn't address it. That's part of my section. I addressed what I thought were really first year priorities, maybe for 24, to get going, the connectivity to the schools. And again, King with a sidewalk to 3A, that part of Pond repairing, and also the Pleasant, especially from Ripley to Cushing. You've got the new building opening up at some point. People walk all the time, so it was more the low hanging that I was shooting for in the beginning, looking at, what's going to get the kids to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with it all. I think, and I don't want to say I don't want to discuss it anymore, but this is exactly what we need to talk about in a month or so and get into the finer details as we craft a plan and have Brian on and say, hey, these are the priorities for 2024, and we need to get these done. If you go back to, again, when we beef this recommendation up a little bit, and we'll have another call with this committee to kind of vote as or approve all of these and prioritize them. I'm in full agreement with everything you have to say. So that's what I'm getting. If we can firm this up a little bit, or at least just throw it all in here. Let's throw as much as we can on here, and then, because it's not going to get done in 2023. We're kind of, although it appears to me, I haven't been outside in a month and a half, but it appears like it's pretty hot outside, that the weather changes pretty quick, and the paving schedule, etc., shuts down around end of October. So I'm in full agreement, and let's just throw this all on the spreadsheet, put it all on there, and then prioritize it for next year, unless there's some money to do Sharrows, etc. this year.
That sounds good.
So Jay, can I throw something in there?
Yeah.
No, someone's raising their hand.
No, go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
This is for the whole committee. I'm just going to throw this out there. I think at some point in time, we should settle down, maybe in an evening that's convenient, or to a face-to-face, maybe at Willicott. Get down there, throw it all on the table, and come up, I think, probably in a meeting or every other time. And again, not many of them. I like the Zoom, but at least one face-to-face to throw it on, look at Julie's recommendations, Jay's recommendations, my recommendations, Tori's recommendations, whoever else, Frank's recommendations, and come up with and get Brian there, come up with just a cogent plan and get it out the door.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yes,
Yeah, no.
let's do it. I think we need something in person to get this wrapped up.
Just depending, I know everybody's busy. That includes yours truly as well, but it's just, we're all busy, and but at some point, that's convenient. I think we could really punch it out in an evening.
Yeah.
I do too.
Paul,
At least come up with
you bringing the beverages? I'm in.
Yes, I will. I'll have it at my house. I mean,
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think after, again, I'm fully agreement with it all. I think that for the next month, we just need to throw it all on there, get it all on the spreadsheet, and then exactly what you said, put it up all on the wall, everyone in a big room, and kind of just talk about it for a few hours in an open setting at the Wilcott Center, wherever it is, on sometime in October, November, whatever, on a date that everybody can make it. Completely agree with all that. Okay, one other thing that I wanted to bring up was just highlight for everybody. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. The private roads, which is, I look at these and go, are you serious? But these are private roads. And so there are some of these, if they are in your quadrant or, area of review, take a peek at these. And as I understand, the town is not responsible for paving and or putting in sidewalks on private roadways. And if you look at these, some of these, you may think that's a private road. I didn't make this decision, but there are many roads on here that are many houses on, and
I mean,
you know,
Windy Hill
help us.
private?
What's that?
Windy, I just saw Windy Hill. I was like, holy smoke.
Well, that's it. That's right around the corner from me, and I know there's probably 40 houses on that road. Every one of those houses has at least 2, if not 3 kids on it. It is that was a little shocking to me, and I tell you that is the biggest bus stop in all of Cohasset, with about 50 kids that get on in the morning, and that's a private road according to the town.
Well, and there's been a ton of construction right there too, Jay, right? So like the trucks have been tearing it up pretty bad as well.
Yep. So I'm sure if you live on Windy Hill or any one of these, same thing with like Howe Road, same thing, Black Rock, and I'm pointing these out. I'll make the call here. These are private roads. So the message here is, if any of these private roads are in this was shared with you a couple weeks back. Thank you, Carol, and others who shared it. That the replacement cost, as you see there, is quite heavy for some of these roads. So anyway, if it's a private roadway, it's not considered within the town's jurisdiction. And that's the message here.
So a question on that, Jay,
Yeah.
Are you saying that, or is your recommendation, if you see one on here, we go through the process of making it not a private way, or are you saying,
No.
see it on here, it's not to be considered at all?
It's my understanding of the latter, that it cannot be considered for paving and or any work that needs to be done has to be funded by the people that live on that road, because it is a private way. And I don't want to get into the legal thing of trying to make it private versus public. I think that's way out of our jurisdiction. But just a message that we didn't make the rules. It's a private road, and it's unfortunately not the town's responsibility. So that's that on that one. And so I am gonna again just jump back to this plan. I will send this around to everybody. Hoping that Brian can throw some numbers in there. I will throw some numbers. I'm going to talk about the grant that we put in, which I imagine we're supposed to find out October 1st. Elm Street is, out the window with that per se. But we have and thank you, Frank, for assisting on the grant there to replace make all of our sidewalk ramps ADA compliant. I think that was like $140,000. But any other areas here where you feel, and again, this was a rough draft. I put this together really, really quick in the hospital the other night, just so the select board and Jean, the chair, could have something to chew on. I'll send this out. Tori, would you mind if I send this out to you, put this on a Google Drive so that everybody can see edits and make live edits, so that everyone's not trying to edit it and make different changes to it? Is that possible?
Yeah, no worries.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you all.
So feel free to hack it up. Also to go back to the already distributed sidewalk Excel spreadsheet and fill that in there. We don't, that can still be draft. Again, the big ask here is to finalize that 2 or 3 pager, get it to the select board so that they can use that as justification. So when the town fall meeting takes place under the leaky tarp, leaky roof at the high school, and the town is asking for money for fields, athletic stuff, lacrosse walls, Deer Hill fields, school improvements, roads and sidewalks, they have a little justification to say the sidewalk committee has met. We don't have an exact, prioritization of which road's going to be done, but we're asking for an extra $800,000 to throw into the fund so that the sidewalk committee can prioritize roadways in the future. Does that all sound good?
Yes, sorry, can I just say one thing? Would it make
Yeah.
sense to put some sort of preamble into that report that says something like, and I don't know what the reality is, but over X number of years, Cohasset has only contributed X number of dollars to maintenance of roads and sidewalks.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? Give some background, give some context so that everyone in the room who's voting understands we've never contributed to this. Now is a day of reckoning. If you've driven on our roads or walked our sidewalks, you know that it's in bad shape. Just
I think that's fantastic.
Like that idea of like selling.
Absolutely.
Selling them.
Yep.
And we need to be passionate and honest about our lack of contribution in this area with taxes. Because otherwise,
I completely agree.
They might say, oh, but I already pay lots of taxes. Surely that money goes to roads and sidewalks and that should be enough. Well, we have to say, no, actually none of it has been going. We haven't been taking care of it at all. That's why they're in terrible shape. And now is the time to do it. And that's what we're asking to start now. And I know it hurts today, but we have to start somewhere and we want to start now.
Frank, I'll get to you in a second. I see a hand is raised and yours, Paul. I couldn't agree more. I think that's absolutely. And Julie, feel free to throw that in for a paragraph or so in there. If you need some real numbers, just send an email to Brian and say, hey, Brian, how much money have we historically allocated to the roadways? And hopefully he can give you that figure and throw that in there. And I couldn't agree more. And again, just looking back, my personal opinion here, when people talk about, town hall, etc., some people sit back and go, I've been in this town for 20 years. I go to town hall maybe once a year. Why do I want to spend $27 million on town hall? And they vote either way versus, no, I drive these roadways every day exactly to your point. The road that needs to be addressed. So I can't see anybody not supporting this. Go ahead, Frank. Sorry.
Well, first, I totally agree, Julie. I think that's a great idea, like an elevator pitch for people who aren't going to read this whole thing. Just a couple of lines that will really sell the whole thing to them. So I think that's a great idea. Jay, sorry if I already missed it. Is there a deadline for which you want to have this 1 or 2 or 3 pager ready for the select board? I know it originally was going to be this past Tuesday, I think, but just so we can have a finish line to race towards.
I'd like to have it by like the end of next week or so. Paul, let me know if we need it sooner, but I've talked to the chair and she said, get it to Miss when you can. So I think if we had it by like the end of next week would be good.
Cool. Okay. And then just one last thing. I noticed that my roads aren't in the Google Sheet. I had them saved locally, and I will update those as soon as I had to forward them. They updated the permissions on my work computer. It's super annoying. It's the main computer I use, but now I can't get on anything Google on it. So I have to forward it to like my grad school laptop, and then I'll upload it. But the email's on the way. I should have that up very shortly. Just a copy and paste.
Yeah, no worries. Again, I think the priority now is just everyone's input to the narrative language and any other information that you want to throw in there. Feel free to, you know what, if it's 5 pages, it's 5 pages. It doesn't need to be a 2-pager. The select board was looking for something quick and dirty. Throw whatever you want to put in there. And then, and don't worry about the finer details of the Excel spreadsheet. Let's get this Word draft plan or 5-year plan to the select board and finalize that if we could do that by mid to late next week, that would be great.
Sure.
Good, Paul.
First off, I think Julie's plan is absolutely outstanding. Yes, a preamble would fill the bill. I will say this on a board perspective, we're going to be meeting up until town meeting once a week. And I think you're up on the agenda for next week, but I can do an update on that if we're not done. And third, what the board's going to be looking for coming into town meeting, I will tell you this because what we're doing is somewhat of a big ask on a lot of things, is unanimity. From roads to sidewalks that we all agree. From school committee, we all agree. From advisory, we all agree. From long-term financial planning, we all agree. So that's really where we're coming from. And if we can hit the town with the spirit of unanimity, I think we're going to get it over the finish line.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I saw that
That's
happening.
really what we're looking for.
Yeah, at the other meetings that happened, if you don't have complete anonymity, complete agreement. Yeah,
I think
really
about
struggle.
it too, Julie.
Oh my God, I really struggle with that word. I want to say anonymous.
No, I used it twice, but I memorized it before I used it.
So I saw that if all the groups weren't in complete agreement, there was difficulty. So if we could get all the groups to say, yes, we all agree to this, then you're right, it'll go over the finish line so much easier.
Yeah.
I can tell you, we're meeting with every group, and every liaison from every group is meeting with theirs. Like I'm going to be on CPC, getting them behind the different funding things, and say Beechwood Playground. I'm going to tell you that that's up high on the list. But if we go into that with that spirit, I think we're going to do pretty well with the town. It's going to be a busy town meeting, but we're trying to keep what's going up, because it's a special time. We're trying to keep it short, succinct, clear, and just get it over, like I said, get it over the finish line. And if we have the backing of our boards, our committees, and the groups that pull together and volunteer, I don't think we're going to do badly.
Right.
How do we get the advisory board? How do we get the advisory committee on board? Because I noticed in our work earlier that the advisory committee plays a role. I'm not entirely sure when and how, but to not include them,
they are included.
Okay, good.
They're being included in everything. If I
awesome.
left them out, I apologize. Advisory, long-term advisory, school committee. What are the big ones we have, Bob? Advisory, school committee, long-term financial, capital planning. So we're trying to get and meet with every single committee and lay it down, be it town hall, be it schools, be it, is everybody going to get exactly what they want? Probably not, because it's an ask, but these are things that we all know. And our roads and sidewalks, I don't know. I have to spend some time on 143. I'm not really Facebook so much, but I read more things about our roads, our potholes, and needing a Sherman tank to drive down, let's say Beechwood, let's say Church Street, which prompted us to get it done. I think those are all really salient points, and I think it's going to help. But again, if we have every board behind it, including advisory, I don't think we're going to go wrong.
Yeah, agree.
I agree, and I don't know so hoping to get an update from Brian. I imagine that the Elm Street project is going to move forward in a couple of weeks, if not sooner. I don't have a time frame on that, but that'll you'll see a major sidewalk / roadway job going in from downtown all the way to not quite Cunningham Bridge, but down to Howard Gleason. So that'll give taxpayers a flavor of what the town could look like.
That's what
hopefully in a positive manner.
I'd love to get that date. I know it's been a couple weeks, but I'd like to pin Brian down for that. Those are things that we can bring to the table. And look what's done.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're on the agenda for the September 12th. I guess the 12th, that's next Tuesday night, select board meeting. I couldn't make it this past Tuesday, so I guess I'm going to push up this 5-year plan document comment period to like Tuesday afternoon, like, I don't know, say 2:00, so that I can get it to the select board prior to their 6 o'clock meeting. So let's say like noon on Tuesday, or shortly after. If everybody could input any information in there to beef that up, so that, and again, it still doesn't have to be final. It's just a draft and plan, but it just gives the select board and Christine, the town manager, something to look at, so that we can talk further. All right, I don't even know what else that is on the agenda here. Discussion and report. Anything else that anybody wanted to talk about, or any reasonable topics not anticipated in 48 hours? Frank, as you had your hand still up, I don't know if you.
Oh, no, I did. I
lowered it.
forgot to lower it, but actually I do have just a question. Yeah, it's something I brought up really early on with Brian, but crosswalks. I think that they're not the purview of this committee, but I think that it's a big need in town in certain places, just sometimes renewing some, adding signage or adding them, especially if we get the pedestrian curb ramp grant.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of places where we need crosswalks. There's one in particular at the bottom of my street drives me nuts every time I walk past it, where it's just the suicidal place across the street, but the sidewalk that ends in every direction, and you have no choice but to cross on a crosswalk. But I just think that there's, as we're driving around inventorying the roads and making these recommendations, it might make sense to add a tab, not to muddy up our spreadsheets or our list of sidewalks, but just to add some crosswalks that we think might be valuable.
Jay, can I answer
Yeah,
that?
no, I completely agree. And as if anybody listened to the select board meeting about a month ago, let me call you back in like 5 minutes, okay? Unless it's urgent. Okay, bye. So this committee is the Sidewalk Safety and Connectivity Committee. So safety is in our title, and certainly well within our jurisdiction to make recommendations on how to make roads and sidewalks safer. So absolutely. Sidewalk, this is the SSCC, Sidewalk and Safety Connectivity Committee, the title that was given us. So by all means, throw that into your quadrant, boundary line. Paul.
Yeah, no, I was going to actually piggyback on your answer, because I am throwing crosswalks in there. I've got a crosswalk at the end of Cushing to cross over Pond Street to the existing sidewalk. There's a crosswalk going back, but that's a dangerous spot, even if it's a blinking light on Pond Street, the King Street. The 3A dedicated crosswalk to get the kids across, even if it means putting in a different sequence and lighting. So I think, and also up on Reservoir Road, because the kids go to the top of Pleasant. If we put in even paint lines, a crosswalk going across, because people come down up and over Reservoir and they bang a right on Pleasant to swing down. If there's a kid there, heaven forbid. So yeah, by all means, I'm incorporating crosswalks wherever I think we could use them.
Okay.
And actually, because and while you're talking about Paul, there's one at the bottom where Pleasant Street meets Depot Court meets parking lane behind the parking spot for Pat's. People swing around Ripley onto the bottom of Pleasant towards the train tracks there, behind where the cars back out from Pat's. And there's no crosswalk, it dead ends. If you're walking from the town parking lot on Pleasant Street, you have no choice. There's no crosswalks to get from there to town, so you have to cross somewhere. There's people back out of Pat's and people whipping around Ripley onto Pleasant, and people coming from Depot.
That's an excellent point, Frank. Crazy. I thought there was a crosswalk right at that entrance. Jesus, I'm sorry. You're right.
No, throw it on your list, please. It drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I submitted a request. We can't have
so we can
throw it all on the list. And I think this is
add that to my Pleasant Street list, please. The crosswalk Ripley.
So a good reason why we have kind of separated ourselves into I don't want to use the word quadrants, but it just seems to be a good word to throw out there, or boundary areas where we'll have a dedicated meeting, maybe just talk about 2 specific areas, so we're not jumping all over the place, and we'll maybe have a little presentation from a member here in the future about, as we start to prioritize and get these projects, etc., on the calendar for next year and the year after and the year after. So all great stuff. So I've got to make a bunch of calls here, and I know we've been at it for an hour now. The big ask from everybody is I'm going to send this spreadsheet out. Tori, I'm going to send it to you in a minute here. If you could just send that out as a Google whatever. And everybody, please take a few minutes out of your busy schedules will be greatly appreciated. And just throw it all in there. And I guess we'll see all the track changes as it goes, I believe, so that we can kind of see all those. And then I guess I would say, is everybody around for a quick call on Tuesday, next Tuesday?
Yep.
At say 11:30. You look at my day job. 12th at like 11:30 or 11 or 12 o'clock lunchtime on Tuesday.
I can't join until 1, unfortunately, but I don't want that to hold this group up.
I hope to make it a really quick call. Does 1 o'clock work for everybody, or is there a
1 o'clock could work for a fast one because I'm in and out. So if it was a quick call just to give an update before my select board meeting that night, yes.
Okay, let's shoot for that. Let's shoot for a really quick meeting at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. And Carol, I'll try and throw an agenda together here, but really, yeah, I'll throw an agenda together. It'll be super fast, and it's really just to discuss the 5-year plan. And I anticipate it might be a 30-second call, but hopefully, everyone we get on the call and everyone says, "Yeah, this looks like a good plan." Blah blah blah. And then go from there. I assume, Paul, that so select board's going to ask for some representation from the committee. I will make every effort to make it. I don't know where it'll be on the 12th.
Jay, if you can, I can pinch for you and do an update. So don't
Yeah.
do what you got to do.
All right. Let's shoot to have a very, very quick meeting on the 12th at 1 p.m. Carol, if you could make note of that, and I'll send you over just. Yeah. Send you over a quick email with an agenda.
Sounds great.
All right. Anything else we left off here? Again, appreciate all of your time. If you could focus on that comments to that 5-year plan, that would be awesome. And then I'll input as well when I get information from Brian. And Julie, feel free to reach out to Brian on those questions.
I will. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Anything else?
No.
Make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Enjoy the weather,
Have a
everybody.
good day, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Enjoy the day.